Red 3 banned in Europe. Titanium dioxide, a possible carcinogen. Confectioner's glaze made from insect secretions processed in bulk, all still in candies sold to millions. Behind the bright colors and sweet flavors is a system built for profit, not health, using insect secretions, industrial dyes, and chemical fillers. None of these ingredients are there by accident. They're part of a formula designed for appearance, shelf life, and repeat sales. What happens when these additives combine inside the body? And why are they still used in products sold to millions of people every day? The answers point to decades of calculated decisions, where the health of the consumer was never the priority, but all about making more money and especially profit from kids. Candy has always had a certain immunity. It's the sweet exception to the rules we apply to food. A slice of cake for breakfast? Unthinkable. But a few pieces of candy in the afternoon? Just a little treat. This is by design. For decades, candy makers have wrapped their products not just in colorful packaging, but in nostalgia. Commercials showing kids running through sprinklers, Halloween bags bursting open, the smiling parent who just couldn't resist buying a box at checkout. Candy isn't sold to you as food. It's sold as joy. But that joy comes with visual sleight of hand. Bright wrappers aren't just colorful. They're precisely engineered to stimulate appetite and stand out on shelves crowded with competition. Certain shades of yellow and red have been shown to make consumers hungrier, and they're almost impossible to ignore in the checkout aisle. Then there's the language. Words like natural flavors and real fruit juice appear on packages of products that have never been anywhere near a real strawberry or cherry. Sometimes a candy's fruit note is nothing more than a molecule recreated in a lab to mimic one aspect of the real flavor and ignore all the rest. Here's the truth. Most modern candy bears almost no resemblance to the chocolate bars, fudge, or caramel chews sold 50 years ago. Those older recipes had fewer than 10 ingredients. Today, it's common to see 25, 30, even 40, a cocktail of stabilizers, artificial colors, and engineered sugars. Step into a candy factory and you'll see more than vats of melted chocolate or bubbling caramel. You'll find stainless steel drums of powders, syrups, and colorants, many of which sound more at home in a chemistry textbook than in something you eat. Let's start with artificial colors. Skittles, M&Ms, gummy bears. Their colors don't come from fruit or cocoa. They come from synthetic dyes like Red 3, Yellow 5, and Blue 1. Red 3 has been linked to cancer in animal studies. Yellow 5 has been associated with hyperactivity in children. In Europe, these dyes carry warning labels. In the US, they're still common in products marketed to kids. Then there's titanium dioxide, used in candies like Skittles to make colors pop and whites look brighter. In 2022, the European Union banned it, citing potential DNA damage in animal studies. And if you've ever eaten a shiny jelly bean or candy-coated chocolate, you've probably eaten confectioner's glaze, made from the secretions of the lac insect. Thousands of these insects are harvested, processed, and turned into the glossy finish we now associate with freshness and quality. But the real magic of candy isn't just in the color, it's in the texture. That perfectly chewy gummy bear, achieved with a blend of gelatin, often sourced from animal collagen, modified cornstarch, and sometimes carnauba wax, the same substance used to polish cars. Hard candies get their smooth snap from precise heating of glucose syrups, emulsifiers, and acids. Every bite is engineered for consistency, shelf life, and a sensation you'll crave again. What ties it all together is flavor engineering. Natural and artificial flavors are mixtures of lab-synthesized compounds that recreate and often intensify tastes our brains evolved to seek out in real food. It's why a cherry candy doesn't taste like any actual cherry, but still feels irresistible. When you start to see candy as the product of chemical design rather than culinary tradition, you understand. Nothing about it is accidental. Every ingredient serves a commercial purpose, to make it cheaper to produce, more appealing to the eye, and harder to stop eating. Candy doesn't just satisfy a sweet tooth, it rewires it. From the first bite, sugar floods the bloodstream. Your body releases dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, giving you a hit of pleasure so quick and powerful that scientists compare it to the effects of certain drugs. But it's not just sugar doing the work. Candy is engineered with multiple reward triggers stacked together. Sugar for sweetness, the fastest energy our body can use. Fat for mouthfeel, making chocolate creamy or caramel silky. Salt to enhance flavor. Even in sweet candy, small amounts of salt sharpen taste. This trifecta, sugar, fat, salt, creates a hyper-palatable food. It's not found in nature in these combinations or concentrations, which is exactly why our brains have no built-in off switch for them. Texture plays its role too. A gummy bear's chew stretches out the sweet experience, releasing more flavor with every bite. A hard candy lingers in the mouth, prolonging the dopamine drip. Even the crack of an M&M shell is a sensory cue, a learned signal that a burst of sweetness is seconds away. Then there's flavor consistency. Every Skittle tastes exactly like the last one, same with every peanut M&M or gummy worm. This predictability is comforting to the brain, removing any uncertainty and allowing us to snack mindlessly. Compare that to real fruit where sweetness and texture vary. Nature doesn't make perfect every time. The industry's secret weapon? Vanishing caloric density. Some candies, like cotton candy or certain airy chocolates, melt away so fast they barely register as food to the stomach. Without that physical bulk, your body doesn't send a fullness signal, meaning you can eat far more sugar before feeling satisfied. All of these factors combine into a feedback loop. You eat, you get the hit, you crave more, you buy more, and that loop doesn't happen by accident. It's the direct result of decades of research into how far candy makers can push human biology without crossing the legal definition of addictive. Candy's bright wrappers never show the real price tag, the one your body pays. The average fun-sized candy bar might feel harmless, but combine its sugar with the constant snacking culture and it becomes a blood sugar spike machine. Your pancreas scrambles to release insulin, moving that sugar into cells. Repeat this process too often, and your cells start resisting insulin's signal, paving the way for prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. Fructose, the type of sugar found in corn syrup and many candies, doesn't get used directly by muscles, it's processed in the liver. In high doses, the liver converts it into fat, contributing to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Meanwhile, chronic sugar highs trigger low-grade inflammation across the body, a quiet stressor linked to heart disease, cancer, and cognitive decline. Sugar is the favorite food of Streptococcus mutans, the bacteria that cause cavities. Hard candies and sticky gummies cling to teeth, feeding these bacteria for hours after you've finished eating. The acid they produce erodes enamel, and unlike a wrapper, enamel doesn't grow back. It's not just the sugar. Red-3 has been linked to thyroid tumors in animal studies. Titanium dioxide, used to make colors pop, is banned in the EU over cancer concerns. Confectioner's glaze, often found on shiny candies, is literally insect secretions processed for mass use. The FDA allows these additives within safe limits, but those limits don't account for the fact that candy is often eaten alongside other processed foods with similar chemicals. The exposure piles up. Ultra-sweet, ultra-predictable candy dulls your palate over time. Natural foods, an apple, a fresh berry, start to taste less satisfying. The brain becomes conditioned to seek only the hyper-sweet. That shift makes whole, nutritious foods feel boring, deepening dependence on processed treats. Candy companies know this. They've spent decades learning how to keep you in the cycle. Enough sugar to hook, enough variety to keep it exciting, and just enough plausible deniability to keep regulators at bay. What's left is a system where short-term pleasure masks long-term harm, and the only way to see the cost is to step outside the marketing bubble. Walk into any supermarket or gas station, and candy feels like one of the cheapest indulgences you can buy. $1 for a bag of gummies, a couple of bucks for a king-size chocolate bar. But those low prices come with costs you don't see on the receipt. To hit those rock-bottom prices, manufacturers swap expensive, high-quality ingredients for the cheapest industrial substitutes. Real cocoa butter gets replaced with palm kernel oil. Fruit puree gets swapped for corn syrup and natural flavor. Beet juice coloring is traded for Red 40, a petroleum-based dye. Each swap shaves pennies off the production cost and chips away at the nutritional value, leaving you with a product that's more about chemistry than cooking. Cheap candy doesn't come from cutting marketing budgets or executive salaries. It comes from loading the product with ingredients that have been linked in studies to everything from hyperactivity in children to cancer risks. The long-term health effects aren't the manufacturer's problem. They've met the regulatory minimum. After that, it's your body, your doctor bills, and your problem. Palm oil plantations for candy coatings and fillings are a major driver of deforestation in countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, destroying habitats for endangered species like orangutans. Artificial dyes and flavorings come from petrochemicals, meaning that every neon gummy worm is tied in some small way to the fossil fuel industry. Many of the biggest candy brands are owned by just a handful of multinational corporations. That variety you see on shelves? Often it's the same parent company selling you different shapes, colors, and flavor profiles, all designed in the same R&D labs, using the same cost-cutting playbook. In the end, cheap candy isn't really cheap. The true cost is paid in public health, environmental damage, and a food culture where profit always outweighs quality. The sugar high is short-lived, but the bill, in one form or another, comes due for all of us. Candy companies don't rely on chance for repeat customers. They engineer it. From the sugar to the colors to the texture, every piece is designed to hit your brain's reward system like a precision strike. Sugar is one of the fastest acting energy sources you can consume. Within minutes, it spikes blood glucose levels, triggering a release of dopamine, the same brain chemical involved in pleasure and reward. Your body remembers that quick hit and starts craving it again, sometimes within hours. Food scientists use a concept called the bliss point, the exact ratio of sugar, fat, and salt that makes a food irresistible without becoming overwhelming. For candy, that usually means maximum sweetness with just enough acid, salt, or fat to keep you reaching for more. It's not an accident that you rarely stop at just one. Whether it's the snap of a candy shell, the chew of a gummy bear, or the melt of chocolate, texture is part of the addiction equation. These sensory cues become part of the craving. Your brain learns to associate that specific bite or chew with pleasure. Bright, saturated colors aren't just for kids. They trigger primitive associations with ripe fruit and high-calorie foods in nature. Even as adults, our brains light up at those signals, especially when they're paired with sugar. The problem is that the sugar high is short-lived. Blood sugar spikes, and then crashes. That crash often leaves you tired, irritable, and craving another hit to feel normal again. It's a biological loop that keeps sales strong, even when you know it's not good for you. Unlike drugs or alcohol, candy is socially accepted, even encouraged in celebrations, holidays, and rewards for good behavior. That makes the habit harder to notice and even harder to break. Candy isn't just sugar. It's a calculated product of industrial engineering. Every color, every coating, every flavor exists for a reason.